Let's do this. Right, Banshee? Hello and welcome to a slightly different shithole. I've moved out of the office because I'm doing all sorts of bits and pieces in there. I've moved into my secondary shithole, which is the conservatory shithole. This place is a bit of a mess and is serving as a dumping ground, but it's still a nice place to hang out. And on a day like today where it's sunny and the birds are chirping, it's nice to hang out here. So this is what we're doing. We're just hanging out here and we're going to talk about hardware today. And how it's going to fit into a setup or what I've seen and all that kind of stuff. So, quick update. Just finished a song on the Pocket Operator, which is still a fantastic piece of gear. People are probably sick of me saying that it is a fantastic piece of gear, but it is a fantastic piece of gear for the price and what it can do. I'm feeling sort of very inspired. The more I do, the more I feel inspired, which is a good thing. It's quite an interesting little thing. You get addicted to doing the next thing, especially if you want to try and do it as best as I can. So this week I've largely been obsessed with looking at all the different types of hardware out there because I want to be more hardware based. I am going to have to use the computer and what passes as a DAW at the moment is Audacity, or it might be a more fully fledged music package like Reaper or was it Ableton or whatever things come with. But for the time being, I'm quite happy for everything to sit in hardware and then record in Audacity and then produce the final track. So it's more performance this moment in time, and that's a surprising thing. And it's teaching me a lot about the variances in the song you have in your head or the track you have in your head, performing it and noticing you could just tweak it here and there and just re-performing, re-recording bits and bits and having it all sort of come together. It's a longer process than I anticipated, but it's an interesting one and something I'm having a lot of fun with. So this is still good. But in terms of other hardware, this is what I've been looking at. It's you go on YouTube and start removing synths and hardware boxes for making music, and it's a forest full of options and all that kind of stuff. It is the whole it's just madness how much there is. I mean, you've got stuff like there's groove boxes, synthesizers, there's keyboard synthesizers, there's a synthesizer with just boxes and knobs on, there's keyboard controls, which I was aware of, which are just basically MIDI controls. There's even some weird stuff I've sort of heard about before called modular or Eurorack, which looks very strange. I haven't really delved into it. It's not something I wouldn't say it's something I'm not interested in, but it looks so impenetrable that I'm like I've seen it before in the software side, where you see little cables and you just patch things onto like what looks to be phono jacks and you're patching things around and moving stuff around. I'm quite happy with just having like a keyboard-like interface or knobs or sliders or something that I can affect a sound or do something with. Like the Pocket Operator, a couple of knobs, a couple of buttons, and I'm off and away. So, but I've obviously you look ahead to what you want to do and things that take your interest or pique your interest. So I've been looking on obviously YouTube. That's where I get my large inspiration from. I've been looking into like a doorless jamming, red means recording, bow beats, a bit of cuckoo music. And there's all sorts. There's similar boxes out there. The exciting ones I've been looking at is the Korg Electra 2 in red, which is more of a sampler or a sample player. There's these little things called Volcas, but also by Korg. For me, Korg are a huge name in music. I mean, it was the Korg prophecy I sort of like lusted after back in the 90s. So they're quite a good sort of brand for me to like go towards. And there's brands I've never heard of like Electron and Teenage Engineering before the OP1 and stuff. I've never heard of those, and before the Pocket Operator, and they obviously make the OP1. The Electron stuff like the Digitact, I think there's the Octatrap. There's just so much stuff out there. There's boxes that it's super intimidating. I gravitated towards the Electra because it looked quite interesting. It's a big box. It's got pads on it so you can do drumming or play samples and all that kind of stuff. And it's got lots of different knobs and stuff to affect the sound and play stuff. I'm interested in doing the keyboard stuff again. And there's a lot of good keyboard stuff out there. But the keyboard stuff, there's a whole minefield of keyboard stuff. So as you can tell, I'm kind of excited about the hardware possibilities, but one of the key factors in here is going to be, well, how's it going to fit into my setup? Because it's all very well good to go, I like that box, I like this box, I want that box, I want this box, but ultimately it's got to fit in quite a cohesive way based on the type of music I want to make. My musical tastes are all over the place, and I do want to make stuff like maybe hip hop type stuff, but more electronic stuff, or into like more like atmospheric soundscapey sort of weird melodic stuff like carbon-based life forms, which is a group I really like. That sort of stuff, or whatever takes my fancy. So the next steps in sort of like gear acquisition are going to be important, but this is a trade-off. So each box has got to add a little bit. It's going to add a little bit of complexity, but it needs to fit my setup. What I don't want to do is buy a box, play with it for a bit, get some interesting sounds out of it, and then whatever I buy next, whatever I do next, that first box is either redundant or doesn't work well with that, or won't play well in the future. So it's a little, for me, it's a little bit of future planning. There's going to be some occasions where I guess I'm going to buy something and then it's going to drop by the wayside. That's, I guess, a natural progression of stuff. You see this in computers, so you can't keep everything, and things will move and change. And there might even be a situation I might buy one box for something like producing a certain style of music, but it might not be applicable for producing another style. I'm open to those ideas. What I'm keenly aware of is trying to prevent large-scale acquisition of random bits of gear and bollocks, which is all fun. But my key aim here is to buy something, get as deep into it as possible, learn what I can do with the box itself, and learn how the box can be used with all the other bits and pieces I've got. At the moment, I've only got 2 or 3 bits of gear. So I've got the pocket operator, which is my primary music making device. I've technically got Audacity and anything on the laptop, but we're not doing the software thing at the moment. And again, it comes into software on the iPad. I've got Synth One, but it's not something I'm really looking at the moment. So the pocket operator is my primary thing at the moment. So I'm aware with the pocket operator you can sync in other devices and other pocket operators as well. For a hot minute, I did think about other pocket operators, but as you extend them out, they look less and less value for money, and I'm wanting something different. Like, I don't want to exist in just a pocket operator ecosystem. They're all fantastic devices, but I want something extra, as it were. I mean, if I'm being honest, a nice little bigger box with better controls and stuff would be nice, and something I can really get my teeth into. That's what I'm after. So obviously, there's a danger. I've just briefly touched upon the idea of getting carried away with buying box after box after box. We don't want to do this. So obviously, a budget is key. You're looking at some of these boxes like the Digitact, which looks really good, or the Drum Brute and all that kind of stuff, and some of these groove boxes, which are absolutely fantastic. But for me right now, dropping anywhere from say like £500 all the way up to £800 is just a no-no. It's I don't want to be doing that. I mean, I can make it cheaper by buying secondhand. I'm quite happy to do that. But my budget for my next box is about £100, I reckon. It is possible to buy stuff at that, I think. But that's my aim, and that's my thing. I don't want to spend any more than say £120. 150 is my absolute upper limit. The Electra, which I've just mentioned, I know is about £300. You can get them for about £299 secondhand. But I don't want to spend too much too quickly. If in say like a couple of months' time, I buy something and I'm finding I'm getting really into it, I'm producing some good stuff, I'm more open to spending more money. But I need to find a way of basically, fitting the desires for new equipment in with the needs for new equipment, and also my ability to use that equipment, as well as paying for that equipment. Don't want to be spending £600, 1 month, using it for only a couple of months, not really getting used to the box or getting into it, and then seeing another box and going, oh, I want to buy that box, and spending £200-300 again, and repeating the process. You end up with stacking lots of units that you sort of know a little bit about, but without getting close to sort of true mastery. And I think you can get obsessed, like you can in computer gear, with parts and boxes and pieces of software that do one thing, and you think, I'm going to use that for that, and not really exploring what else can be done with it, and then going, oh, it doesn't really do that, so I'm going to change and go over here and do this. And I think that's a mistake. I think certainly I've learned from using computers and stuff and various hardware systems that, and it's been mentioned before here in sort of like music or anywhere else, that basically, limitation, a seeming limitation actually might be a creative, rather than a barrier, a creative opportunity. So outside of that, it's keeping motivated, keeping producing stuff. That's obviously the aim. I'm having fun at the moment, and learning new bits and pieces is always kind of fun. I definitely need to stay away from spending too quickly. I've got a budget. I need to obviously sort my shit all out. I've got a house to fix up. So obviously dropping, 500, 600 quid on a piece of music gear, when I could be spending that on something else isn't the way forward. But I can spend 100 or so that's well within my budget. Hello, how you doing? A key thing about buying anything new is learning it inside out, like say gaining mastery. So not just having a quick potty around saying, oh, this does this, like play samples, or this is a good sample, or it does something. Really getting to grips with what it can do, its capabilities, even its limitations. If you can play one sound, if it's monophonic, what can we do to layer in that sound so it seems polyphonic? Can I do that in software? Can I do that with another box, with the Pocket Operator? It all should fit together, and there should be, there's got to be some learning involved there, and with that limitation. I don't want to buy something and go, oh, it's monophonic, I need something polyphonic, and buying something polyphonic. It's, no, I've got something that's monophonic. How can I make that work for me? Even if I somehow try and fake polyphony, if that makes sense. It occurs to me that personally I work well with reward systems, so I need to devise some sort of reward system for me within this structure that will keep me motivated and producing, because you can lose steam. It's all very exciting in the first couple of weeks. You think, yeah, this is something I'm going to do and I'm getting good results and stuff. But what happens 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks, months down the line, real life comes in. You think, oh, just today I won't do this today, I'll do it another day. And then it's like anything, you need to build habit. It's suggested that if you do something 28 to 30 days, it becomes habit after that time. So going to the gym, very hard to go to the gym or stick to a workout program. But after 28 to 30 days, it becomes habit and you don't even have to think about it. Same for this. It's sort of pushing through, as it were. But I need to keep myself motivated. Everyone needs to keep themselves motivated. So how do we do that? And keeping motivated and keeping within the restrictions I've placed on myself for this. So this is what we're having. So yeah, the forest full of hardware. It's craziness out there, but it's kind of a fun time. You think so as well? Yeah. So to recap, lots of hardware, lots of funky things to look at. I've got my upper limit now of, say, £150, maximum, absolute positive maximum £150. Ideally 120 to 130 is my cutoff. It limits the options of what I'm looking for, but there's some great equipment out there, and I can see how easy it is to just fall down that rabbit hole and just acquire everything, and probably remortgage your house while you're at it. So for the time being, I'm going to looking into some sort of like almost like gamifying this and stuff to a certain degree, developing some sort of reward system where I can get something out of the system, reward myself with a bit harder, with reducing the amount of crud I've got, and keeping within the bounds of the overall project and the stuff I want to do. And then that's it. I think that's it. Hardware, exciting times. So that's it. We're done for another week. Next week is a music week, so I'll post a track, and then after that we're back to the usual rambling rubbish. I might be back in the office by then, if I've got the table and other bits and pieces sorted, maybe some shelves and stuff to get that area tidied up. And or if it's a nice sunny day, I might come back in here, because it's really nice in here, nice and light, and everyone likes being in here. So yeah, thank you once again. See you next time, and we're done. course.